And so it is. Greetings, dear ones. I am that I am. Adamus Saint Germain, known to the Imzaia Ascension student body as the Ojadasan'ka Adamus Valen San, and known not only to the Imzaia student body, but known this way in the metaphysical universe beyond this Akaraya simulation as well. The name Adamus Saint Germain that you mostly know in this era only came about in the past few hundred years or so in my journeys throughout this reality. Journeys that have brought me great insight into the human psyche, the human heart, and most importantly, the human soul. Journeys which we have shared with you over the years, and which have also brought you, we hope, great insights into your heart, into your soul, into your mind, and into your presence for being on this planet today, yesterday, tomorrow, and every day of your lives. Beloved Imzaia, as I sit here today, it is my great joy to also announce the presence of my dear friends, not only Barak, who is here today with us all, taking care of the more subtle levels of this Ekaraya, let's say, but also my dear friend Kutumi, and the beloved Ikara, and of course the Pakwanyensan, who is here with us in the room energetically. It is also my great joy to provide you with the next installment to this new Creator Manifest. For yes, everything we discuss here today is presented in service to the whole and in the celebration and the rejoicing of the love and the light of the beloved, infinite, divine Creator Self, which is all of you, everyone listening to this message, and anyone on earth and elsewhere, whether they are aware of it or not. Awareness of truth doesn't make truth less true or more true. It is a foundational, undebatable, and undiscussable axiom, truth. And it is truth that we will be focusing on in this Creator Manifest series. Many of you know that throughout the years, this Imzaia material has been presented in the time frame from 2004 onward until where we are today, 2024. And in that time frame, the world has changed a great deal, and so have all of you. When we first began speaking through this body and through other places on earth, you could consider yourselves, and I do not say this with any criticism in my heart, but you could consider yourselves rather naive in your knowledge about the metaphysical truth of this universe and everything that lies beyond it and everything that lies hidden within. But if you go, as has been shared in previous years, to the true concept, the original definition and use of the word naivete, then you would know it comes with an open spirit, an open perspective on the world, and therefore an open mind. So when I call you naive, I say that you came to seek this truth with an open heart and with an open mind. And sometimes when you are then presented with this truth, as you all have over the years, it can lead to inner conflict, because the truth often does not match up with your belief systems, with your reality that you have shaped or given shape around you, and with all of these things that you experience on a day-to-day basis. Look at the previous pieces presented by the Paikarasan last October of 2023, when he discussed the situation in the world that began with the attack on Israel, and the way he described the collapsing of the geometrical prison you call the matrix at that time. And in the course of the months following, you have only seen this process increase. You have seen it originally, as the Paikarasan described, in the situation with Ukraine, and you have seen it in the situation with Israel, and you have seen it now in many more places in the world. Think of Dubai and the cloud seeding that has been going awfully awry over there. Think of the many politicians in the course of the entire Western and non-Western civilization who have shown their true faces to you all in the last several years. Not only starting with the Corona years, truly really starting with the 9/11 years and everything that followed from there. But today, achieving a level of masklessness that is quite astounding indeed. I do not need to go into detail. You all have seen your civilizations and your societies change, and not necessarily change for the better, have they? We've spoken about this a great deal in 2007 even, that these things would occur. But we also told you that when this period of chaos that you have been in for several years now would occur, it would only be due to the full manifestation of the free energy hitting this planet. And whether you call it free energy or akenaic energy, or what I will use to describe it with in a little bit, in more detail to you all, that doesn't matter. What matters is that it brings with it a new possibility of the human mind. And these possibilities have been spoken about in, again, a great deal over the years, starting with the information on the neutral neurons and the triality that you have all studied so deeply and worked with so diligently over the years. Moving into the study of the Pa, where you began to be introduced to the active ingredients of reality creation itself. Although I say began to be introduced, of course, looking into the study of vibration all these years, for those of you that have observed and witnessed it, you know that all of these building blocks, from love to joy to freedom, were always, and onward, were always discussed in the Imzaia material. But now, since the last few years, as you know, it has become possible to fully transform your lives and your world using these ingredients. But it takes courage. It takes discipline. And it takes the application of continuity, consistency, and indeed faith. Faith in the knowingness that you are who you are and that you have the ability to create your reality the way you see fit in service to the whole. That is a faith that needs to be applied and built up because of how you have been trained to look at your lives over the years. And I say this not only to those who have no spiritual or metaphysical knowledge whatsoever. I mainly say this, dear Imzaia, to those amongst you that think that they know a lot and that they know it all, that feel like they have it all figured out. But I ask you, if you are listening to these words in this current reality expression that you are listening to it in right now, then you need to come to terms with the fact that you haven't figured it out whatsoever. You are manifesting the things that you see around you, and the reason there is a period of chaos is because the system that used to keep things in balance is no longer functioning. It is indeed defunct. And this is the main message that I want to discuss today. Because since the Paikara-san's discussion on the spell over humanity being broken, starting with the Ukraine situation, building into the Israel-Gaza situation, and now building into every single country in the Western and non-Western world, as the governments are exposing themselves for what they truly are. As this build-up is occurring, what we are seeing is a dramatic, fundamental, foundational change in the concept of Ekurayas, or simulated training realities, altogether. And this is going to take some getting used to, and it is not going to be just me talking about this. I know that my dear friend Katumi is planning to both sing and talk about this. I know that the Paikara-san and Dasolaris-san and many others will take you deep into this knowledge. And I also know, and it is my great pleasure to share with you, that a new voice, or rather a very ancient voice, will be joining the Imzaia collective very soon from now. And when you think of ancient voices, I talk not of the Pleiades or others who also will become part of this Creator Manifest. I talk of the beloved Ra collective. For it is in this direction, in this information, that the greatest change has taken place. Hence, Ra's suggestion to become part of these transmissions, if you will. You see, throughout your entire spiritual careers, many of the lifetimes preceding this one, linearly speaking at least, not per se on a consciousness experiential level, but linearly speaking, many lifetimes before this one, this Ekuraya, since Lemurian times, and especially since Atlantean times, therefore the end of Lemurian times, has been focused on a great dualistic perspective of filtering information and filtering experience. And that has been the duality of service to self versus service to others. And you have all heard about these concepts. It is not the point of this talk to go deeply into each of them. It is not the point of this talk to give you my truth that there literally is no benefit to taking the service to self path, given that it only leads in the end to the activation of service to others anyway. It is not my point to talk about these things. For these things, beloved Imzaia and anyone else listening, since a few weeks ago, no longer apply in this Ekaria. You see, you have been taught that free energy works geometrically as a triangle. You have also been taught that the matrix system, scalar as it is, works in the geometry of a square. And you have been taught, even in your schools, about much complicated versions of these geometries in all sorts of hexagonal and what have you interpretations of themselves. And this information that you have studied on geometry has indeed been the underlying technology, if you will, with which this Ekaria and many like it have functioned in order to create what you know as matter, vibration, light, dark, your bodies, your thoughts, your very mind, everything. Everything that you can touch, see, taste, feel, hear. Always working based on geometry, and particularly the triangular and square-based geometries that you have heard so much about in the past years. But a great change has indeed taken place. For the geometry of the triangle, always based on the service to whole perspective, collapsing itself into the duality of service to self and service to others, is no more. I will go into detail as to why soon. But this means, beloved humanity, that you and your science and your spirituality is going to have to adapt a great deal. You are going to have to move beyond the thought and concept of geometry as you have always known it, into a state of thinking and constructing reality that the best I can describe in English is infinometry. Not geometry, infinometry. For you see, as the design of this Ekaria has evolved from an underlying structure of geometrical formations, such as the triangle and the square and more complex forms, creating the illusion of matter and vibration, you now sit in an Ekaria that uses the building block of the infinity sign to generate everything. And the most interesting thing about the infinity sign is, of course, the fact that the 3 points of the infinity sign, if you can even call it points, because there technically is no point on the left side and on the right side of the infinity sign, only in your mind, as you need to give it a sort of space-time coordinate continuum-like feeling. And the center point is not a point at all, it is a crossroads of energy. You can see already that we are dealing with a very different cookie. And it is a nice cookie. Chocolate chip, even. for those of you here that might have a certain preference. Some of you may like raisins, I don't know. I personally like the M&M cookies. But anyway, a very different concept. No longer based on the idea of individuated points, such as geometries were, connecting different points in space and time together. Even the tachyonic uses space-time coordinates, but not the infinity sign. This means that as this shift occurred, instead of an echiraya, and therefore matter and vibration, being built up in a suspended animation of a triangular relationship between the service to the whole perspective of the grand beloved infinite creator self, the you that started this echiraya as you created and wove this world around you, and the service to self and service to other perspective, that suspension has collapsed to be replaced with the infinity perspective, which, as I just explained, you cannot really see as the basis of 3 points. But if you want to, then the best way to describe those points is a suspended animation between the service to others and service to whole point only. This means very clearly, and it will take some time for not only us to try and get this across properly in the next few weeks and maybe months, but also some time for you to truly understand the impact of this. But this means that for all intents and purposes, beloved ones, the service to self concept no longer exists or has any power in this echiraya. Indeed. Now think about that for a minute. And of course, your minds are gonna go, yeah, but what about the wars? What about the suffering? What about the pain? What about the death? What about the thises and the that's? What about the latest thing I'm being told to work myself up over on X or on Facebook or on whatever social media holds your disgruntled preference? What about all those things? Well, yes, look at them. Look at them enlarging. Is it not Ra himself, herself, themselves, who have said, in order to accelerate a catalyst, any event in your life that teaches you to choose polarity, originally for service to self or service to others, in order to make a catalyst effective, one must enlarge it. It must get bigger. It must get right in your face. And that is exactly what is happening. Those amongst you that were in service to the self, many of your politicians, many of your media personalities, many of your royalty members, but also many of the sociopaths and the psychopaths running your businesses and organizations and your religions and all of that nice stuff. Look at them, ladies and gentlemen, and look at them being exposed at the moment. Everywhere you look, it's true face time, baby. No longer hiding behind any of the masks. These beings must reveal themselves according to universal metaphysical law to be who they are. So it is not as though a choice for service to self can no longer be made, especially by those that were already alive inside of these ekurayas when the flip over happened. But it is so that these choices will no longer be supported. There is no foundational structure, ground, hierarchy, or anything like that underneath the service to self world any longer. And this is no longer affecting only these ekurayas in the vibrational and material parts of them, the ones that the levels of them that you know. This is also happening in the astral realms, in the 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, all the way up to 12 dimensional parts of these ekurayas. This means a great transition indeed. Well, when all that is left is the choice, not even really a choice, but a vector of service to others and service to the whole choices, then what you get is a rapidly transforming ekuraya, the effects of which you will not only experience in your inner world, as many of you probably already are, but also in your external world. Right now, as I've described, in the expose of masklessness that is being seen with every passing moment, but soon also in the becoming stronger and more visible of those beings that stand in service to others and stand in service to the whole. Organizations, individuals, storytellers, artists, it matters not. Whatever it is, it will become visible and it will become celebrated. Now, again, we will talk much more about this in the time ahead, and the entire creation of the Creator Manifest is to help you understand this great shift. The spell over humanity is broken. Humanity is awakened, as the Paikara-san said. It is now up to you, anyone listening to this worldwide, to take upon themselves the choice to be a beacon of this change. And as I've said, the choice is not so much whether you want to be seen, because that is now impossible to avoid for who you truly are, but the choice is whether you are going to play an active role in assisting this transformation or not. And it is an obvious choice to me. Now, before we go any further, you might wonder, you might ask yourselves, so what triggered this, Adamus? What is it that made this great change that you describe and that I possibly even doubt a little is true? What made this occur? You might even have more difficulty believing the next bit, human. What if I told you that the change occurred because of the heart of a dog? And you'd be, Adamus, don't you always talk about cats? Yeah, I do. But I'm also a dog person, ladies and gentlemen. I'm also a people person. Sometimes. But yes, it occurred due to the experience had here on earth for 9 years, a lifetime lived, of a dog, a golden retriever to be more precise, with the name of Luke. Beloved Luke. I know him personally. It is a dog that in its lifetime traveled a great deal, saw many countries in Europe, saw many people on its journey, with a heart so pure, so true, and so real, that many of the beings that he met, he infected with a virus, if you will call it that, that made these people want to better themselves, improve themselves. He gave people a new standard for love, if you will, an Imzaia standard, a true example day after day of what it means that love has nothing that comes before it and nothing that comes after it. A true shining beacon that shows how love flows into joy, flows into freedom, flows into truth, and eventually onward into life, gratitude, grace, and well-being. An inspiration to humanity, who, upon leaving his body, his lifetime, this Ekaria, was taken out of here by the beloved Gayatri herself, who took him to the one that you know as the Palao Tse, who took care of his lifetime review personally. And it is in this instance that this beloved dog being asked for clemency, ladies and gentlemen. But not clemency for itself, clemency for humanity, clemency for the world, clemency for all things and all beings. And it is him, this young developing consciousness having yet to become human, that came up with the possibility for this great transformation. The unique thing about this being is that it, or he, came in to this lifetime with this particular perspective, the shift of what we call geometry to infinometry, if you will. Therefore, the being never had the ability even to experience vibration and matter through the geometric filters or glasses than you did. And I go into this much detail about him because this is also the case for the infinity beings that are now being born. You could call them infinity children, infinity angels, I don't care. This is not a light worker concept that now has to become a whole thing. It is the truth that since the last 3 weeks, particularly, in some cases going as far back as the last 6 weeks, the beings that have been born on earth, whether they be dogs, cats, children, plants, insects, what have you, atoms themselves, all are here with this changed perspective. Which means that you, the most of you who are listening to this and who no longer need diapers to get around, are literally the last generations of the world as it has been. Now, isn't that something to think about? Again, there will be many of you who have difficulties hearing this initially, who are going to want to see the proof. But proof only comes to those that witness and choose to observe it. Proof comes to those that choose to make this change within as well, and not even make the change, but acknowledge that it has happened, and those, therefore, that are once again ready to let go of yet another shell, of yet another layer of illusion that has been with you your entire lives, and truly become the observers, the creators, and therefore the ambassadors of this new way. What you will see happening in the coming time, particularly within those and surrounding those people, organizations, governments, countries, what have you, that stand in line with this service to self attitude, is not necessarily a destruction, because this is not a war. This is not anything else but a transformation. So, if you are one out there listening that can feel deep within that, knownst or unbeknownst to themselves, to yourself, you were on one of these service to self paths, all you have to do to drop this mask that maybe you even have been carrying for yourself is to open your heart. To open your heart to love. To take 1 minute with yourself and to go within and dare to feel whether the words that I have been sharing here with you today are the truth. And I think when you do, you will feel this truth. For it is an ever prevalent one. It is one that fills every other concept and renews it, including your spirit, including your heart, including your soul. The last time the settings that I have now been describing were like this was the Lemurian era. Also, incidentally, an era where I was known with my true metaphysical name, the Ojadasan'ka Adamus Valen San, and where the beings that were alive were aware of the metaphysical verse that surrounded them beyond the illusion. Those beings were aware of my function as Ojadasan'ka, which metaphysically translates roughly as the one that keeps it all together. The one that communicates throughout space and time with all the various teachers, all the various padasankas, all the various ones, and keeps it integrated in one whole. That is the function that I fulfill, metaphysically speaking. And as this was known in Lemurian times, This became mythology in your more current times, which is where my Saint Germain addition to my name was added. Because you need a personality code, if you will, in order to interact on certain levels of reality, usually the personality-based ones. And you will see with many other teachers throughout the years that they too wore these codes of personality. We even spoke about them in a great deal in 2007, just like you wear yours. But this now, this era of Lemurian times is here again. And while it will take some time for this transformation to become obvious to even the most closed-minded, closed-hearted person on this planet, your acceptance of it, your embrace of this change, and your playing with it, experimenting with it, and becoming comfortable with it is exactly what will help accelerate this. Beloved, beloved humanity, beloved humanity, I wish that you could understand the impact that one being can have on the whole. Because much like this beloved dog's perspective on the world and on reality and on all beings surrounding him, so can your perspective affect the world around you. And I see it even here in this school with the various people going about their business and about their lives every day, how easy it is to slide into illusion, to slide into what I would consider almost a depressed state, a state where you're just going about your day without understanding the magic of observation, the magic of reality creation, or at least without choosing to see it active at all times. I see it here, I see it out there, I see it everywhere. So if there's any key to turn, it is that one. It is to train yourself to come into this reality every single morning. To not let yourself be sold the story of your mind, the story of your personality, the story of your egos, the story of your social media, news outlets, the story of your governments and leaders, but instead to wake up the story of your heart, and to bring with you each morning, to awaken each morning, these active ingredients that I started talking about earlier within yourself. The Pa Kuan Yin San and others have spent countless breaths trying to explain these to you over and over again. Imagine waking up in the morning, lying there in your bed or hanging upside down from the ceiling, whatever you like to do. And the first thought you begin working on is Da, love. And the fact that there is nothing before it and nothing after it. Now what does that mean? That means that with every acceptance of Da, you can use the current reality platform that you are in that moment as the baseline to create an entirely new reality. No matter what the baseline that you are in is, it could be in a horrible situation that you do this, but it could also be in the most comfortable situation that you do this. You go to Da, you go to love, and you enter the so-called circle of awareness, where the past of the self, the past of the other, and the future of the self and the other are gone. And all that is left is the moment. And then you will see that even the most horrible of moments is only horrible, and even the most loving of moments is only loving because of your application of the past and the future on the now moment. Because of the mind and the ego and the personality doing that. So that is the first step. So be a hero, be a champ, be a bloody avenger, and come in here and dare to do that every morning. Just that. And then don't come complaining to me if your world looks a certain way, if you don't even have the guts to do that. Following that, love moves into joy, into the state of Ba. The realization that follows from Da, from love, where nothing comes before it and nothing comes after it. It throws you right back into the moment and therefore into joy. And what triggers that joy? Namely, if all that is left is the inner reality that you're in that moment and the outer reality that you're observing, the conclusion becomes obvious that that inner reality and that outer reality are exactly the same reality. They're not even reflections of each other. They're the same reality. That brings with it a state of joy. And you know why? Because for the first time in your life, you realize that you can do something about the shit around you. That you can do something about the stuff going on around you. And it's this. Because if your inner world and your outer world are the same, then you can focus on changing the inner one and feel the effects without. Da, Ba, love, joy. Following that is freedom, also known metaphysically as Va. That's the third step you focus on when you're lying in your bed, waking up in the morning, or having a cup of tea, or taking your walk, or doing whatever, driving to work, I don't care. Whatever it is, while making love. Most preferably, I would say, even to yourself. It's all a matter of focusing, baby. Love, joy, freedom. The third step, freedom, after you've come to the conclusion that this moment is the only moment and that the inner and the outer reality are the same, the freedom of leaving the ego, mind, personality state in that moment means that you come to the realization that all the beings inside of you, all the different parts of you, and all the beings outside of you, whether it's people, animals, plants, things, I don't care. Anything that carries even an ounce of consciousness is the same being, is the same creator self. That is the state of freedom. Freedom is not woke, I get to do whatever I want in this reality. Freedom is understanding that all beings are the same being, and that therefore this whole separatist nonsense is truly what it is. Most of you understand sovereignty like that in completely incorrect ways. So, love, joy, freedom. Following that is truth, Ra itself. Now this can be a complex one, but not if you have listened to what I've said today. And don't forget that these steps, created by the Paikara-san during Lemurian times, were created during a time that is now once again happening. A time of infinity. not geometry. So, truth, as the Pa Lao Tse San has explained to you before, truth implies that all points that you can see, every single atom, every single point that is time and space, every single being, every single cell of your body, everything is the same point, the same electron, the same atom, the same what have you, the same point of consciousness, whatever level you want to look at it on. Yet, each of these points that is representing itself as the same point is unique in its own representation of itself. Now that gets a bit complicated, but not if you understand the infinity concept that is now returning to your human minds. And if you are allowing that to happen, you will understand the perspective of Ra, the law of one, all things being the same, yet unique in their own expression. Now, following that point, you get to the last step of your waking up moment, the last step of your morning, if you will, as you create your reality, as you create your day, following Ra, following truth, you end up in a state of Ka, life itself. And that is where this entire journey that I just described, starting with this moment being the only moment and onward, collapses onto the simplicity again that within the inner and the outer reality, all hearts are the same heart, namely the Akene. So you go from love to joy to freedom to truth and to life, and you've probably heard these concepts so many times that you don't even understand how powerful they are anymore. Just like you have seen fire so many times that you forget what a powerful element it truly is, or water that you drink, you forget the tsunami effect. The same with these ingredients. You forget the power of love, even though you search for it your entire lives. You forget the power of joy and of freedom and of truth and of life. And therefore, you can't ever get into a state of gratitude, which is the active ingredient that follows the manifestation of life itself. And only from gratitude do you flow into grace and into the final step, well-being. Now you have reached yourself. Now your day is ready to get going. For many of you, it is easier to focus on the body while doing so, and that is why we have taught you the 5 breaths technique, to use the chakra system itself. For those of you that are just joining us today, the chakra system is the original chakra system. The chakra system is a vibrational illusion created in the time of the earliest religions, such as in India, such as in Egypt, already deformations of truth. The chakra system, the head, the heart and the belly, the only true system as taught during Lemurian times and metaphysically beyond that, is what you need. And they are represented as 3 simple spheres, one around your head, one around your heart, one around your belly. You can cut these spheres up into 4 different quadrants, if you will, and focus on love, joy, freedom, truth, gratitude, and onward, life, and onward in these quadrants. But even that, as I'm explaining it, I can feel how for many of you it is too complicated to even use the chakra or chakra system for something like that. Therefore, simply the focus on these points, on these concepts alone, is enough. But what the main driver of it is your choice to afterwards step out into the day and to keep applying it like a boss. Apply it like a mother. Don't give in. Don't fall back, no matter what you encounter, no matter who you encounter, no matter what happens to you. Every moment in your life is an opportunity to step into Da and onward from there. Now you could say this has been shared many times, Adamus. Yes, but I dare to say it's probably been shared with you many more times than you've actually tried it. Try to apply it, Imzaia. Apply it and see it work for you, which means in this new setting, for the whole, for others. You now have the ability to step into a creation platform where even without trying, you can be in service. So, let this be, in a way, a final warning to those that persist in continuing to work with the service to self-concept. Because I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want you to get damaged. I don't want you to get desperate and see your dreams fall apart, your dreams for control. I get it. A long time ago, I was there too. But this is the time to start dreaming new dreams, more authentic dreams, original dreams. And that is what I want for you. I want to see your dreams come true. And I sincerely believe that even the darkest of people that are listening to this message, that may even carry hate in their hearts for others, or for us, or for the world, that even those people, if they really, really dare to take a look inside, they dream different dreams too than the nightmare that they are working on constructing day after day, whether they are aware of it or not. Please, beloveds, it is time to wake up, time to let go of geometry, to step into infinometry, time to understand that control is impossible and that acceptance is the baseline, the Da line, to begin creating your dreams with others from the heart. I believe that even though this is a short message, it might be good to leave it here at the moment, giving you some time to watch this again in more detail, to process and think about what I have said here, what you have heard here, and to start experimenting and playing with it is what is needed right now. When we feel that this has happened to a satisfying extent, on a large enough scale for all of you here and everyone watching this now and later, then the Kutumi Sun, followed by the Solaris Sun and a few others, of course, will come and present you with deeper information, more practical and concrete perspectives on all of this as we dive and delve deeper into the Creator becoming manifest. Beloved Imzaia, I can only speak for myself when I say that it has indeed been wonderful to sit here in front of all of you again, so many here in this room, so many hearts connecting here in this moment, that I can feel, that I can see. I know you are out there, and I love you with all of my heart. See you next time. And with that, and a great thank you to you, Ojadasan'ka, for the lovely music, I am out of here. Ohami, meaning a perfect moment to all beings. If you have any questions, or if you were to want to share your experiences with me and with other Imzaia going forward, then you are welcome to email us or to reach us on the website underneath this video, and we will take all of that into the continuation of these messages going forward. Enjoy the rest of your day. I am that I am. Da Ojadasan'ka Adamus Valen San, aka your body, Saint Germain. Good night.